Hi guys, so I'm back with Tink, and I just wanted to do a video to kind of explain why it's important for horses to eat on the ground versus the hay net, and then also how their muscles can get tight, and this is why we have to advocate for our horses. So as you might know, right here is the pole, and this is where direct pressure, can kind of wind up causing pain in the head, because the pole here, if we're riding dressage or we're doing any kind of movements where they have to be on the bit, it does cause a little bit of pain in the horse's face. And so this muscle right here, and it does drape down to here, okay, it does help when the horse eats downwards, because then they're able to stretch that muscle out. So that's important instead of having a hay net, which would probably be like stationed right here, and they kind of have to like tilt their neck this way, and they're trying to get the food, and it's not necessarily helping. It's actually causing more strain in the muscles. Now, like I said, this muscle goes all the way down here, and if you would have any kind of body work, MFR or anything like that, usually you would have somebody come in and they would work there. And loosening any kind of knots that a horse would have. Another place, I'm just going to work on the neck. Horses have 700 muscles, so obviously we're not going to get to all of them today. But like I said, we're just going to concentrate over here, and also they have 505 bones, where humans have 506. So if you could just take that into comparison, and just knowing, like I said, 700 muscles is a lot of muscles to get to. So we have right here, we have a huge muscle going down here. This is the trapezius, okay? And then we have the rhombus over here. It's actually underneath the trapezius. I call it the wither area. But anyway, this is another area that gets super, super tight, and you'll see this tightness that can get from also using hay necks and things like that, or just structures where they're so these muscles are usually used in the sense of just helping them with keeping their neck straight, moving side to side, turning and stuff. So this area can also get tight on a horse. Another area that gets tight is within here. This is the medial area. There's about 4 or 5 muscles in here, different ones. I usually call them the medial cephalus. And there's 4 or 5 muscles in here, and you can actually run your fingers down your horse's neck, and you can actually feel the different muscles in there. And these also are, aiding him to move back and forth, and, also for neck contouring and moving and so forth. So those are another place that gets really, really tight. So even just by putting your hands like this, you can feel like the knots and the tightness. And another place is down here. Down here you have this huge muscle right underneath here, and it actually goes right to their front legs right here. This huge muscle is another muscle that is used when a horse is putting their head down or they're eating, and it's also supporting the head and stuff like that. This muscle gets very, very tight as well. So if you can just think of all these muscles I just named, and I only named a few, and like I said, there's many muscles in this neck, okay, besides what I just, labeled, and different areas. And so the tightness, if we're not like sitting here and giving our horses some sort of, MFR, massage, chiropractic, some sort of anything, there's tons of modalities out there, you're gonna have tightness in the neck. And then tightness in the neck, what happens is, if you can imagine this, we have the bone structure. It goes from the pole, okay, goes all the way down to here. This is all the vertebrae, okay? You start here, C1 all the way up here, and you go all the way down here. This is all vertebrae. And if you can just imagine what it's like having a muscle pulling, so just because your neck muscle is pulling, it's also going to affect your shoulder. Your other shoulder is going to affect all back here. And then it's also going to affect the hind end, okay? Because the pulling just doesn't start at the neck. The pulling goes all through here. And it's like I want to say, what's the right, a domino effect. It goes from one muscle to the next, to the next, to the next, causing a tightness. So your horse may not be tight. Your horse may not, you know, have issues, but it's important to get the body work before they do get tight. Some horses just are tight from their jobs, you know, certain jobs just make them tight, which is totally normal. So it's so important to get some sort of body work done. Somebody that can come in. Like I said, I am, you know, trying to put it out there and to really focus on horses' health, because I think it's so important. You know, when I first got Tink, he was so tight because he was an ex-reining horse. So you can just imagine how his hind end was, and then his neck was tight. So I witness when he's tight that, you know, he has problems tracking right, because he actually enjoys, he's right-handed. I'm going to call him right-handed. So when he gets tight, I notice that shoulder, it's a little bit harder for him to pick up the canter right away. Or if he's tight in his hind end, he's having trouble tracking up. So these are just things that you should really look at as a horse owner, and take into accountability, because that might mean they need a treatment. So I hope you like this video. Like and subscribe. Have a great day, guys. Bye.